It all started the night before my engagement party. I remember standing in front of the mirror, staring at the reflection of a man who thought he finally had it all figured out. My name's Ryan Carter. I'm 28, and for the first time in years, I felt like everything was falling into place. I'd proposed to the love of my life, Emily, a month earlier in a small park under the old oak tree where we used to meet in college. She cried when I asked, said yes before I even finished the question. We'd been together for almost 5 years, and everyone around us, friends, coworkers, my parents, said we were the perfect couple. That night, I couldn't stop smiling. Emily was at her place, probably finishing last-minute details with my sister Megan, who'd taken charge of the entire event. Megan was 2 years older than me, and she'd always been the type who liked control, organized, assertive, the big sister in every sense. We'd been close growing up, but lately, something about her had changed. She'd been distant, moody, sometimes even tense when I mentioned Emily. I figured it was stress, or maybe jealousy. Megan hadn't dated anyone seriously in a while. Still, I didn't think much of it. Around 10 p.m., I texted Emily goodnight, told her how excited I was to see her tomorrow, and went to bed with this warm feeling in my chest. I had no idea that within 24 hours, everything I believed about love, family, and loyalty would crumble. The engagement party was perfect. At least that's what everyone said. My parents' backyard was decorated with fairy lights, soft music played from the speakers, and there were tables full of food that Megan and Emily had spent days planning. Everyone I loved was there. Coworkers, old friends, cousins. For the first hour, I was floating, greeting guests, taking pictures with Emily, laughing with my dad over old stories. Then, somewhere between the second round of drinks and the group photo, I noticed something. It was small, maybe insignificant to anyone else, but it stuck in my head. Megan and Emily were talking by the buffet table, and when Emily laughed, Megan reached out and touched her arm. It wasn't a normal friendly gesture. It lingered, just a little too long. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe Megan was just being affectionate. She'd had a couple glasses of wine, after all. But then, later that night, I saw it again. Emily was sitting by the pool with some of her friends, and Megan came over whispering something in her ear that made Emily look down, smiling nervously. When Megan stood up to leave, Emily's eyes followed her. It was quick, subtle, but there was something there. Something I couldn't name. I told myself to stop being paranoid. These two had been spending a lot of time together planning the party. Of course they were close. I didn't want to be the jealous fiancé who read too much into things. But as the night went on, the feeling grew stronger, like a quiet voice in the back of my mind whispering that something wasn't right. After the last guest left and my parents went to bed, I stayed behind to clean up. Emily had gone home already, but Megan was still there, sitting alone near the fire pit, staring into the flames. I walked over, grabbed a beer from the cooler, and sat across from her. "Hell of a party," I said, trying to sound casual. She smiled faintly. "Yeah, it turned out nice." I took a sip. "You okay?" She shrugged. "Just tired." We sat there for a moment in silence. The fire crackled between us, and for the first time all night, I really looked at her. She looked off. Her eyes were distant, her shoulders tense. "Meg," I said finally, "you've been acting weird lately. Is everything okay?" She didn't look at me. "Everything's fine, Rye." "You sure? You've been quiet. I can tell something's up." She sighed, rubbed her temples. "It's nothing. I'm just stressed." "About what?" Her voice cracked slightly. "You wouldn't understand." "Try me." She looked up at me then, eyes glassy, almost sad. "You ever feel like you're about to lose something you never really had?" I frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" "En?" She opened her mouth to answer, then stopped, shook her head. "Forget it." Before I could push her further, she stood up and walked toward the house, leaving me alone by the fire. That question, "You ever feel like you're about to lose something you never really had?" replayed in my head the rest of the night. The next morning, Emily came over early. She looked beautiful, her hair tied back, wearing one of my shirts like she always did when she stayed the night.
She kissed me, made coffee, and acted perfectly normal. For a moment, I thought maybe I'd been imagining everything, but when she went to shower, her phone buzzed on the counter. Normally, I wouldn't have looked. I trusted her, but something, that same quiet voice again, told me to check. The message preview stopped me cold. Megan, we need to talk. Last night was too close. My stomach dropped. My hands went cold. I opened the phone, half hoping I was misunderstanding something. The messages scrolled back weeks, and what I saw made my chest tighten until I could barely breathe. They weren't just friends texting. They were flirting. Late-night messages, hidden meanings. And then, as I scrolled further back, my worst fear hit me in the face. Megan, I can't stop thinking about you. Emily, you know we can't do this. Megan, then why does it feel so right when we're alone? I felt like the room was spinning. My own sister. My fiancée. I couldn't believe what I was reading. The timestamps showed it had been going on for months, during wedding planning, during holidays, even the night before our engagement. I didn't know what to feel. Anger? Disgust? Confusion? All of it hit at once. When Emily came out of the bathroom, smiling, wrapped in a towel, I just stared at her. She noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" she asked, setting down her coffee. I held up her phone. "Who's Megan to you, really?" Her face went pale. "Ryan." "Don't," I said, my voice low. "Don't you dare lie to me." She froze, realizing I knew. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, "It wasn't supposed to happen." That line, those 6 words, I'll never forget them. I laughed bitterly. "What wasn't supposed to happen, Emily? Falling in love with my sister?" Tears filled her eyes. "It's not like that." "Then what is it?" I shouted. "You've been sneaking around behind my back with my own sister, and you're telling me it's not like that?" She flinched, silent. I felt something inside me snap. "Get out," I said, my voice trembling. "Get the hell out of my house." "Ryan, please. Now." She grabbed her things, crying, trying to explain, but I didn't want to hear it. I couldn't. When the door slammed behind me, I sank to the floor, shaking. My own sister. I didn't text Megan. I didn't call. I just sat there for hours, staring at nothing, trying to make sense of how my life had turned into something I'd normally hear about on some Reddit forum titled, "My Sister Betrayed Me in the Worst Way Possible." That night, I got a call from my mom. She said Megan wasn't answering her phone, that she'd gone quiet since the party. I wanted to tell her everything right then, but I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I told her I needed space. But deep down, I already knew this wasn't over. The next day, a message popped up on my phone. From Megan. "Megan, we need to talk. Please don't hate me until you know everything." I stared at it for a long time. I didn't reply. But I knew I would, because as much as I wanted to cut her completely out, a part of me needed to know why. And that's when the real story began. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. Emily's eyes filled with tears, Megan's voice echoing in my head. You ever feel like you're about to lose something you never really had? By the time the sun came up, my coffee had gone cold, and I still hadn't answered Megan's message. It sat there on my phone like a live grenade. Please don't hate me until you know everything. The thing was, I already did. I hated her for what she did. I hated her for taking something that wasn't hers, for crossing the one line I thought no one ever would. But beneath all that anger, there was this tiny, gnawing piece of me that needed to hear her side. Because if I didn't, I'd go crazy imagining every detail. So around 9 a.m. I finally typed, "Me. We talk once. After that, you're dead to me." She replied instantly, "Megan, come to my apartment. Please, I'll explain everything." I drove there in silence. No music, no radio,
just the hum of the engine and the pounding of my heart. Her apartment was only 15 minutes away, but it felt like an hour. When I pulled into the parking lot, I sat there for a long time, gripping the steering wheel, trying to convince myself that I was ready to hear whatever she had to say. When she opened the door, she looked like hell. Her hair was a mess, her eyes red like she'd been crying for hours. She didn't say a word, just stepped aside to let me in. I walked past her into the living room. The air felt thick. There were 2 wine glasses on the coffee table, one still half full. It made my stomach turn. Was she here? I asked flatly. Megan hesitated. No. That was from last night. I couldn't sleep. I didn't believe her, but I didn't have the energy to argue. I just wanted to get it over with. Start talking, I said. I want to know how long this has been going on, every detail. She sat down on the couch, hands trembling slightly. Ryan, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I never meant to hurt you. Then what did you mean to do? I snapped. Sleep with my fiancé behind my back and hope I'd never find out? Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't plan it. It just happened. We were spending so much time together planning your engagement, and we started talking more. I don't even know how it started. I swear to God, I didn't want this. You didn't want it, I repeated, laughing bitterly. That's funny because I saw the messages. You said you couldn't stop thinking about her. She covered her face with her hands. I know how it looks. How it looks? I yelled. It looks like you betrayed your own brother. Her voice broke. I fell in love with her, Ryan. Those words cut through me like a knife. For a second, I didn't even know how to react. I just stood there staring at her. You... what? She looked up at me, tears streaming down her cheeks. I didn't mean to. I fought it. I tried to stay away, but the more time I spent with her, the harder it got. She made me feel, don't you dare finish that sentence, I said sharply. You made me feel sick, Megan. That's what you did. I didn't expect her to feel the same way, she said softly, but she did. At first she said it was wrong, that it was just confusion, but it wasn't. We connected in a way that... Stop, I shouted, slamming my hand against the wall. Don't talk about connection. You connected with my fiancée, the woman I was going to marry. She flinched, silent for a moment. I know you'll never forgive me, but I need you to understand I didn't want to take her from you. I just couldn't help it. I turned away, my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. You couldn't help it. That's your excuse? I was shaking. Every word out of her mouth made me want to scream.
Sleep with her, Megan said suddenly. I froze. What? We kissed, she said quietly. Twice. The first time was after one of the planning meetings. We were both drunk, and it just happened. We promised it would never happen again. But then it did. The night before the engagement party. I stared at her, speechless. So that's what that message meant, I said slowly. Last night was too close. She nodded, crying harder now. She told me she was going to end things after the party. She said she couldn't live with the guilt, that she loved you too much to keep lying. I laughed bitterly. So she was lying to both of us. Megan wiped her face, voice trembling. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just couldn't let you go on thinking I was some monster. I know I ruined everything. I sank onto the edge of the chair, staring at the floor. My mind was spinning. The words kissed and fell in love echoed over and over. It didn't matter that they hadn't slept together. The betrayal still cut just as deep. After a long silence, I said, Does Mom know? She shook her head. No. And she can't. Please, Ryan,
Don't tell her. Not yet. I stood up. You think I care about your reputation? It's not that, she said quickly. It's just, she'll never forgive me. She'll hate me. And I deserve that, but I raised my hand to stop her. I'm not protecting you, Megan. I just don't want to see Mom break down because of you. Her face crumpled. I'm sorry, she whispered, for everything. I stared at her for a moment, then turned toward the door. Ryan, please, she called out as I grabbed the handle. Say something. I looked back at her, eyes cold. You destroyed this family. That's all there is to say. Then I left. When I got home, the silence was deafening. I sat on the couch staring at the engagement photo on the mantel, Emily smiling in my arms, both of us so damn sure of the future. I wanted to smash it, to erase every trace of what we'd been. Instead, I opened my laptop and started typing. Title: My sister fell in love with my fiancé. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I actually wrote it out, posted it anonymously on Reddit under r.true off my chest. It felt stupid at first, typing my pain into a void full of strangers. But once I started, I couldn't stop. The words poured out. The betrayal, the messages, the confrontation, everything. People flooded the comments with outrage, sympathy, advice. Some said I should go no contact with them both. Some said maybe it wasn't real cheating. Others said betrayal doesn't need sex. It needs lies, and I'd been living inside one. One comment stood out. You need the truth from Emily, not from your sister. Only then will you know what really happened. I read that one over and over, because deep down, I knew they were right. So the next day, I texted Emily. We need to talk. You owe me the truth. She didn't respond right away. An hour passed, then another. Finally, around noon, she replied, Emily, okay, come by tonight. I'll tell you everything. My stomach twisted. I didn't know if I was ready for that, but I had to be. That evening I drove to her apartment. The sky was gray, the air thick with that weird, heavy silence that comes before a storm. She opened the door slowly, eyes red, face pale. She looked like she hadn't slept either. Ryan, please, just hear me out before you say anything. I crossed my arms. Talk. She took a deep breath, then said something that made my entire body go numbed. She said, I never meant to hurt you, but I think I'm in love with Megan.
I just stood there for a second, staring at her. The words didn't make sense at first, like my brain refused to process them. I think I'm in love with Megan. My fiancée. My sister. My future and my past colliding in a single sentence. Emily's eyes were red and swollen, her hands shaking as she spoke, but I didn't care. All I could hear was the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. Say that again, I said, my voice low, almost a whisper. Her lips trembled. Ryan, please, just let me explain. Explain what? That you fell in love with my sister while you were planning our wedding? She flinched. It wasn't like that. Then how was it? I snapped. Because I've been sitting here trying to come up with any version of this story that doesn't make me look like the biggest idiot on earth, and I can't find one. Tears streamed down her face. It started months ago. We were spending so much time together, planning, talking, texting late at night. Megan was there when you were busy at work, when I was stressed about everything. She listened. She understood me in a way that you hadn't. Not for a while. I clenched my jaw. So that's your excuse. I was busy, so you just switched brothers? She shook her head quickly. No, Ryan, you don't get it. It wasn't planned. I tried to fight it. I knew it was wrong. Every part of me screamed that it was wrong. Then why did you do it?
She looked at me for a long moment, her voice breaking. Because for the first time in my life, I felt seen. Really seen. That one hurt more than anything else she could have said. I laughed bitterly. Seen? Emily, I was there for you every step of the way. I helped pay off your student loans. I stayed up with you through your anxiety attacks. She interrupted softly. You were always there for me, but you stopped being with me. The room went dead quiet. I love you. God, I love you so much, Ryan. But somewhere along the way, we became safe, predictable, comfortable. And when Megan came along, with her confidence, her chaos, her way of saying things that made me feel alive again, I got lost in it. I didn't go looking for it, it just happened. I rubbed my face, trying to stop myself from screaming. You're talking like this was some cosmic accident. You didn't trip and fall into her arms, Emily. She nodded weakly. I know. I hate myself for it. Every day since it happened, I've wanted to tell you, but I couldn't. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me? I said, laughing hollowly. You've been sleeping next to me while texting my sister about how right it feels when you're alone with her. You already hurt me. You just didn't want to deal with the guilt. She broke down then, sobbing quietly. I should have felt satisfaction or closure or something, but all I felt was this deep, empty ache. Was it physical? I asked finally. She hesitated too long. Megan said you kissed. Twice. Was that all? She nodded slowly. Yes, I swear to you, Ryan, we kissed, but it never went further. I couldn't. I wanted to stop everything before it got worse. I stared at her, searching for any trace of the woman I thought I knew. So you kissed her twice. You told her you loved her. You lied to me for months. And now what? You think confessing makes it better? She wiped her eyes. No, I just needed you to know the truth. I couldn't live with it anymore. I turned away, pacing. My chest felt tight, my head spinning. Every memory of her, the mornings, the laughter, the plans, now had a shadow behind it. Finally, I said, So what happens now? You two ride off into the sunset while I pick up the pieces? She shook her head. No, it's over between us. I told her that night. It had to stop. She didn't take it well. That's why she's been distant with you. Oh, so now you're the victim? Ryan, I held up a hand. Don't. Just don't. The silence between us stretched on. The clock ticked loudly in the background.
Every second scraping against my nerves. Then she said something that made everything worse. I think she might have told your mom, Emily whispered. I froze. What? Megan was spiraling. After the second kiss, she said she couldn't live with herself anymore. She said she was going to tell the truth, to you, to your mom, to everyone. I begged her not to. I didn't want to ruin your family. I took a step closer. And did she? I don't know, she said softly. But your mom called me last night. She said she wanted to talk about Megan. She sounded off, like she already knew something. My blood ran cold, because the one person I didn't want involved in this mess was my mother. She'd always been proud of Megan, her perfect daughter. If she found out what happened, it would destroy her. I grabbed my keys. Ryan, where are you going? Emily asked. To find out exactly what my mom knows, I said through clenched teeth. She reached out, but I pulled away. Don't follow me. I drove straight to my parents' house, my pulse hammering. The whole time I kept seeing flashes. Megan crying, Emily confessing, the three of us smiling in old family photos like nothing was wrong. When I pulled into the driveway, my mom was standing by the window, like she'd been waiting for me. She opened the door before I could knock. Ryan, she said quietly. We need to talk. I stepped inside, bracing myself. Did Megan tell you something? She hesitated, then nodded. She came by last night. She was a mess. Said she made a terrible mistake, that she hurt you in ways she can't take back. So she told you everything. My mom looked confused. Not everything. She didn't say who she hurt, but she kept repeating that she ruined your life. I exhaled sharply. Yeah, that's one way to put it. She frowned. Ryan, what happened? I didn't know how to tell her. How do you look your mother in the eye and say your sister fell in love with your fiancé? Instead, I said, Megan betrayed me, badly, and I can't ever forgive her. Mom's eyes softened. Ryan, she's still your sister. Not anymore, I said coldly. I turned to leave, but she stopped me with a trembling hand. Ryan, wait, before you go, there's something you need to know. Her tone made me pause. What? She swallowed hard. Megan's not okay. She's been struggling for a while. Depression, anxiety. She didn't tell anyone. Last night she said she couldn't live with the guilt anymore. I'm worried about her. My stomach twisted. What do you mean couldn't live with the guilt? She left a note, my mom whispered. My heart stopped. A note? She nodded slowly, her eyes glistening. It said she was sorry and that she didn't deserve to be your sister. I felt the world tilt under me. Where is she? I asked, panic creeping into my voice. She's gone, Mom said softly. She left before sunrise. I bolted out the door before she could say another word. I called Megan's phone. No answer. Texted her. Nothing. I drove to her apartment. Empty. The wine glasses were still on the table, her phone charger gone, her suitcase missing. All I could think about was that note. She was running from something, or maybe towards something much worse. I stood there in her empty apartment, looking around at the pieces of her life left behind, and realized something that chilled me to my core. I drove for hours that night, through back roads, old neighborhoods, the empty highways that ran along the edge of town. My hands were shaking so badly on the wheel that I almost crashed twice. Every time I tried calling her, it went straight to voicemail.
Hey, it's Megan. Leave a message.
Her voice sounded so normal, so alive, and that scared me more than anything, because I couldn't tell if that recording was from before she ran or her final goodbye. By 1 a.m., I'd checked every place she might have gone. The gym, the diner we used to go to as kids, even the old bridge where she used to sit when she was upset. Nothing. Just silence and the sound of rain starting to fall. When I finally stopped, I was sitting in my car outside a lookout point that overlooked the city. It was the place where Megan and I used to go after big fights, the one spot where we always made up. She'd sit on the hood, legs crossed, sipping coffee while lecturing me about being too stubborn. I got out, the wind cold against my face, and called her one more time. Megan, please, I said when it went to voicemail again. Just tell me you're okay. I don't care what happened with Emily. I don't care about any of it anymore. Just come home. I hung up and stood there for a while, staring out at the city lights below. Everything felt so small, so meaningless. Then my phone buzzed, an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something in my gut told me to. Hello? I said. There was silence for a second. Then a familiar voice.
Ryan?
Megan? She sounded calm? Too calm.
Don't come looking for me.
Where the hell are you? I shouted, heart pounding.
Somewhere I can finally think.
She said softly.
Somewhere quiet.
I started pacing. Megan, listen to me. Whatever you're thinking...
It's already done.
I interrupted. I left a note for Mom. I told her everything. I froze. Everything?
Yes.
She whispered.
She knows about me and Emily. She knows I ruined everything.
Megan, that's not...
Don't lie to me, Ryan. I know what I did. I betrayed you. I hurt Mom. I hurt myself. There's no fixing it.
I could hear her voice shaking now, like she was trying not to cry. Megan, please just tell me where you are. We can talk.
There's nothing left to talk about.
Yes, there is, I shouted. You're my sister, damn it! You don't get to just disappear. She laughed quietly, but it wasn't her normal laugh. It was hollow, tired.
You still don't get it, do you?
I didn't just fall for Emily. I was trying to fill a hole that's been there for years. What are you talking about? She went quiet. For a moment, I thought she hung up. Then she said, almost whispering,
Do you remember Dad's funeral?
That caught me off guard. Of course I do.
You were crying so hard she couldn't even hold it together. Everyone was falling apart, except me. I just stood there watching them lower him into the ground, and I felt nothing.
Megan,
No, let me finish.
she said.
After he died, I became the strong one, the fixer, the perfect daughter. I held everything together because someone had to, but I never dealt with it, Ryan. Not once. And all that emptiness, I carried it with me.
I didn't know what to say.
When Emily came along, she saw through all of it. The fake smiles, the act. She made me feel like maybe I wasn't broken, like maybe someone could love me for who I really was.
And for a second, I believed it. I swallowed hard. So you used her to feel alive again? Tears filled my eyes as she whispered,
I didn't mean to use her. I just needed something to remind me I could still feel anything.
The line went silent for a few seconds, except for the sound of wind. Megan, please, I said quietly. You can come home. We'll figure this out. You can't fix what you did, but you can still live with it. She laughed again, and my stomach twisted. You were always the hopeful one. That's what I loved about you. Megan.
I have to go.
No, don't hang up, I shouted. Please, just tell me where you are. I'll come to you. She hesitated. I could hear the wind getting stronger on her end. A faint whooshing, maybe waves. Are you near the water? I asked. Silence. Megan, are you at the cliffs? Nothing. Megan, please, don't do this. Click. The call ended. I stood there, staring at my phone, my whole body trembling. The cliffs. Of course. The same cliffs where Dad used to take us fishing when we were kids. The same cliffs where she once said, It's so peaceful here. If I ever disappear, this is where I'll go. I jumped in the car and floored it. Rain poured harder now, lightning flashing across the sky. My wipers barely kept up as I sped toward the ocean. Every second felt like an hour. When I finally reached the cliffs, I could barely see through the storm. The wind howled, waves crashing violently below. I shouted her name, but the sound vanished into the rain. Then I saw it. A small blue car parked near the edge. Her car. I ran toward it, slipping on the wet ground. The driver's door was open, rain pouring onto the seat. Inside, her phone sat on the console, screen still lit up with my name. And beside it, a folded piece of paper. My hands shook as I opened it. The ink was smudged from the rain, but I could still make out the words. Ryan, I'm sorry. You were always the one person who believed in me, but I can't live knowing I destroyed the only family I have left. I never wanted to hurt you. Please forgive me, even if I don't deserve it. I dropped the note and screamed her name again into the storm, but no one answered. Police came later that night after I called them. They searched the area with flashlights, drones, everything. No sign of her. Not her body, not her clothes. Just that empty car and that letter. They told me maybe she slipped. Maybe she ran somewhere else. But I knew. Deep down, I knew. The next morning, I went back to Mom's house. She was sitting at the kitchen table, holding Megan's old baby photo, her eyes hollow. "She's gone, isn't she?" she whispered. I couldn't even speak. I just nodded. Mom started sobbing, and I held her, but it felt like there was nothing left inside me to give. I'd lost my sister, my fiancée, my family, all in the same week. The next few days pass in a blur of police calls, funeral discussions, and condolences from people who didn't know half the story. Emily showed up once. She stood at the door, eyes swollen, holding a letter. "I didn't know she was going to do that," she whispered. "I never meant for it to end like this." I stared at her for a long time. Then I said, "Neither did I." She started crying, but I couldn't comfort her. I couldn't even look at her. I just closed the door and walked away. Later that night, I sat in my sister's room, her perfume still hanging in the air, and stared at the photo of the three of us from years ago. Megan smiling, Emily leaning on me, everything so simple, so fake. That's when I noticed something tucked in her bookshelf, an old leather journal. I hesitated, then opened it. On the first page, written in her handwriting, were the words, "The truth will come out eventually, and when it does, maybe he'll finally understand why I did it." I turned the page and saw the date, 2 years before Emily and I even met. My heart stopped. Megan had written about Emily long before she was supposed to even know her.
I stared at the date again, blinking through the tears that blurred the ink. 2 years before Emily and I even met. My chest felt tight, as if the air had been sucked out of the room. I flipped through the next few pages of Megan's journal, my hands trembling so badly that I nearly tore one of them. The entries weren't random ramblings. They were deliberate, thought out, like a record of something she couldn't tell anyone. "I met someone today. She said her name is Emily. She's smart, kind, and she makes me feel like I can breathe again. It's been so long since I felt that way. I don't know what this is, but I can't stop thinking about her." My eyes froze on that line. I reread it over and over until the words lost meaning. Emily, 2 years ago. How? I turned the page. I told her about Dad, about how broken things got after he died. She didn't judge me. She said she understood what it's like to lose someone and feel like no one around you really sees you anymore. God, I think I'm falling for her. I dropped the journal. My breathing came in shallow bursts as pieces started to connect in ways that made my stomach twist. Emily hadn't just stumbled into my life by chance. She'd known my sister. No, she'd been with my sister first. The thought hit me like a hammer. The memory of meeting Emily in that coffee shop, how she accidentally spilled her drink on me, how she already seemed to know what kind of music I liked, what kind of jokes made me laugh. All of it suddenly felt staged. I picked the journal back up and kept reading, each word feeling heavier than the last. I told her I couldn't keep this a secret forever, that my brother deserves to know I met someone. She said we'll tell him when the time's right. I believe her. I have to believe her. The next entry was weeks later, written shakier, darker. She ghosted me. No calls, no messages. Just gone. I don't know what I did wrong. I thought she loved me. I feel like a fool. I turned another page. Blank. Another. Blank. And then one more. Ryan brought someone home today. Her name's Emily. The ink was smudged in places, maybe from tears. It's her. The same Emily. The woman who said she loved me, who disappeared, who broke me. She walked into our house with my brother's hand in hers and smiled like nothing ever happened. She looked me in the eye like I was a stranger. My throat went dry. My mind went completely still. I felt sick. The betrayal wasn't just about Emily cheating. It wasn't even just about Megan being involved. It was deeper, twisted into years of secrets that had started long before I even knew what was happening. Emily had lied from the very beginning. She'd come into my life already knowing everything about me, about my family, about my sister.
I turned another page. I can't tell Ryan. He's too happy. I can't destroy that. Maybe Emily changed. Maybe she really loves him. Maybe I should just pretend it never happened. Then a final line written weeks later, shaky and uneven. Pretending is killing me. I shut the journal and just sat there, staring at the wall. I felt like the floor had dropped out beneath me. Every memory I had with Emily, every laugh, every kiss, every promise, suddenly felt fake, poisoned by something I didn't even understand.
An hour of sitting in silence, I grabbed my phone and called her. It rang twice before she picked up. "Ryan," she said quietly, "I found her journal." Silence. "Emily," I said again, my voice low. "You knew her, you knew my sister before you met me." She didn't deny it. Didn't even try to. "Yes," she said finally. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you wouldn't have let me explain," she said, her voice breaking. "And because I didn't want to lose you. You already lost me," I snapped. "Please," she whispered, "it wasn't like that. When Megan and I met, it was years ago. I wasn't ready to come out. I panicked. I ghosted her because I was scared. Then I moved, tried to start over. When I met you, I didn't realize you were her brother at first. Not until I saw that picture of the two of you at your mom's place." "Don't lie to me," I said. "You expect me to believe you didn't recognize my last name, that you didn't put it together?" "I did," she admitted, crying now. "And by the time I realized it, I was already falling for you." I couldn't speak. I felt every ounce of anger, sadness, confusion mix into something I couldn't control. "Megan was still in love with you," I said quietly. "She never got over you." "I know," she whispered. "That's why I stayed away. But when you proposed, she told me to say yes. She said you were a good man. She said you deserved to be happy." I clenched my fists so tight they hurt. "And then you slept with her." Emily's sobs broke through the phone. "It wasn't supposed to happen. We were drunk. We were both hurting. It just happened." I wanted to scream, to throw the phone, to make her feel what I was feeling. But all I could do was whisper, "She's gone because of you. Because of what you did." There was silence for a long time. Then she said, barely audible, "I know." She hung up. The next morning, I drove to the cliffs again. The rain had stopped, but the sky was still gray, heavy. I stood where her car had been, staring out at the horizon. The waves crashed below, constant and merciless. I pulled Megan's journal from my jacket and flipped to the last page. There, written faintly in pencil, almost invisible, were words I hadn't seen before. Maybe written the night she disappeared. "If you're reading this, I hope you finally see it wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. I loved her, Ryan. But I loved you too."